One, two, three, go. We are live. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome everyone. How are you all doing? Wait, how many people are here? All right. We have some people. Elon Musk is, wait, what? Elon Musk is in the chat. Aryan Koni,
Hi, Elon.
Mihir
Hi.
Shah, Late Topi. All right, guys. I hope you're all doing well. It took me 10 minutes extra to set things up, but I'm glad that we are here. Gazipal, so nice of you to join in. Welcome to the
Thank
stream.
you for having me. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you. How are you?
Very good, very good. I'm really excited about this. So, ever since I saw Elon's live stream on Tesla AI and the bot, I thought we have to do this. We have to have a conversation. And I didn't really want to do it by myself because I thought I'll be getting into territory where I've been, it's better to be with somebody who's working in that field. And I'm very glad that you're here.
Thank you. Thank you. It is, I
Let's,
mean,
yeah. Yeah, what?
yeah. So I know it's it's an appropriate reaction to be excited or terrified of the humanoid Tesla bot, but
Yeah.
it's not. I don't want to kill the excitement at the beginning of the stream. I think I should leave it towards the end, leave it for, it's great. Like,
It's
great
great.
times ahead of us.
So even I have a few reservations about it, which is neither excitement nor terror. So even I'm going to leave it towards the end. But let's start with the really exciting pieces. Let's start with what gets the blood pumping and what gets the imagination going when you see something like that, which
Yeah.
I believe is the point
Yeah.
of the bot,
Yeah. Yeah.
to get people talking. So that's what we're going to do. Quickly checking in on the chat. Is everyone doing well? Chat, Neilmani, hello sir. Neilmani, welcome. Arya Gosar, welcome. So any questions that you have about artificial intelligence, robotics, and the future of AI? That is what we are going to talk about today. VGKD, Ronaldo is back. As much as I would love to talk about that, that is a separate stream. We're not going to talk about Ronaldo right now. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence. So, right off the start, Gazifa, just can you introduce yourself to my audience and just tell everybody where you are, what you do? Take it
Okay.
away.
So, great. So I work in the field called robotic process automation. It's not as fancy as it sounds. And I work as an implementation enablement lead. My primary job is to make sure that the technology that is being developed is being implemented properly. So, otherwise that would be a waste to develop fancy software and then not have it be used properly. So it's a lot of learning. It's a lot of learning and development and the implementation of that tech. That's my responsibility at work. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I am from a brain science, neuroscience, and psychology background. Neuroscience is my major, and my previous work has been in the field of first, mostly pharmaceutical research, then artificial intelligence and deep learning research for a long time. And then after that, I moved on to RPA, robotic process automation, which is one of the 4 emerging technologies that you are hearing a lot about these days. So,
which are the others?
So the other 4 are, so there are big 4. The first one is artificial intelligence and machine learning. The second one is blockchain. The third one is IoT, Internet of Things. And the fourth one is RPA in any order. It's not like.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy because the other 3 that you mentioned have been all over the news, and for some reason RPA hasn't really surfaced on, at least on my radar, as much as the other 3.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is robotic
because
processing?
it's the boring stuff. It's literally the boring stuff. We don't have humanoid robots to show you. It's the boring stuff. It's what happens in the lab before. It's what happens on paper, in theory, on R&D before it goes to market, and then they make fancy products out of it and fancy cars out of it.
Right.
For that kind of in order to drive that kind of innovation, you have to first automate, and you have to find the logic to automate so much repetitive, boring stuff. That is what RPA does, to be honest. It is
Yeah.
process automation.
There is that saying that you're getting good when it's getting boring. So if something is still exciting, it's probably because you haven't done enough of it. So they say this for surgeons or for doctors, that if your doctor is super excited about something that you have, be worried.
Yeah.
Because it means that they haven't really seen much of it.
Yeah. I know you guys are always on the lookout for novel cases that you can write on. So
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
that.
Oh,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
that. Okay, so you know the
I
inside
know
story
that.
behind. Yeah, so
I know that.
our residency is basically a hunting ground for finding rare cases that nobody has reported before, just so that you can
You have a
publish it.
tail. This is not curable. Why are you smiling?
Oh man, okay, we got too dark too quick. Okay,
Yeah.
so the idea of robotics being boring, it seems like a oxymoron, because you grow up with this idea that robots are super cool.
Yeah.
But making a society robotic is
Yeah.
actually making a society boring in a way, because it's super efficient. Okay, that's a great start. How many of you in the chat, how many of you are listening and have thought about a career in robotics? I'm kind of interested, because it's something that I have thought about at one point. I would have loved to do it. I would have loved to, um, ever since I was a kid and we had those Lego blocks.
Yeah.
That was my first experience with robotics. You create a robot and then you start figuring
Yeah.
out how this can change your life. Arya
My
Gosal, yep.
my first experience with robots was my uncle actually got a robot for my sister, not for me. It was a hand-me-down.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't get it to work, but I still love it a lot. I don't know where it is, but yes.
Yeah. The first time I saw one of those remote control robots, it blew
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
The toy that you had a little joystick, and then you
Yeah.
can direct it to walk in a particular direction.
Yeah. It's pretty fascinating stuff. It gives you a sense of sort of evolutionary supremacy on another form of, I wouldn't say life, another form of being.
Yeah.
So
I
there are
mean,
a few laws of robotics which are very
mhm.
similar to how humans feel about their creators.
What are they? What are those laws of robotics?
Okay, so some that I know are that a robot will not harm a human.
Mm-hmm.
A robot knows when to get off an edge. That comes under the category of not harming itself or its kind, and something along those lines. And how to avoid water, how to avoid things that damage your system. So robots can be programmed into those laws. How humans are afraid of sort of consuming certain substances that might
Sure.
damage their systems.
Sure.
So robots can be programmed to stay away from water or certain oils or certain fumes.
Right. So I
Yeah.
have read about this in Isaac Asimov's books, The Laws of Robotics, and what
Yes.
happens when the laws clash with each other.
Yeah.
So what if the first and second law are in contradiction? So for a robot to save themselves, they have to harm a human or something like that. What happens then?
Yeah. So these are all thought experiments.
Yeah.
Are the robots that we have built so far? See, robots are of two. When you think of a robot, you think of a humanoid robot or
Terminator.
like a machine. Yeah, like a machine. But
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. It's not a pleasant fact, but it's a fact that robots don't need us to build them a body if they become that sentient.
Okay. If they become that sentient, they don't need us.
They don't need us to build them bodies. you know how Tesla bot has a humanoid body.
Yes,
So that,
yes.
yeah. So, and it's not the first time that we built a humanoid. ASIMO, it's a Japanese robot. It's been there for a while.
Right.
And Atlas from Boston Dynamics, it's been there.
Yeah.
I think Atlas is far more evolved as compared to the Tesla bot, to be honest, because the features that I read about Tesla bot, it can't do the things that Atlas can.
Okay. I have, first of all, I'm not sure how many of the people who are listening to us have heard about the Tesla bot. So first of all, let's quickly check that before going deeper into it. How many of you have heard of Tesla bot? How many have heard of Boston Dynamics? And how many of you have been following the robotic story of the world? Like what is going on? In Japan, robots are a much closer part of society than I feel in other countries.
Yes. One, because they are technologically, in terms of innovation, I wouldn't say overall technologically, in terms of innovation, they are very, very advanced. But then also the social cultural dynamic of Japan is such that the population is declining, especially with the elderly people. There's not many young people to assist them with their care needs. So the elderly people really depend on a lot of robots to carry out their daily tasks. The robots could look like humanoids, or they could be normal machine like a Roomba that cleans your floor.
Yeah.
So it is a Roomba, after all, is a robot.
Yeah. One of the funniest memes I saw last week was a lady cleaning a Roomba showroom with a mop.
Nice.
Saying who is working for whom.
Yeah, true.
The reason that the Tesla bot got my attention was, I mean, of course, it's Tesla. And anything that Tesla does is kind of high profile and designed to grab eyeballs. The other thing is the way that it was built. So I saw a part of that live stream and I had two extreme reactions. One, the way they were explaining it, it seemed like it was targeted towards the layman, and it, in a way, it is a great portal for a lot of people to gain entry into the world of robotics. So people who have no idea of robotics and what is going on, but because Elon is so popular, because of that, they will now get into this world, and then they may start looking at other things. They may start looking at Boston Dynamics, for example.
Yeah, I mean, Elon has this. So what people don't see, which is sort of hidden in plain sight about Elon, is that he's not just an inventor. He's not just an innovator. He is actually a very shrewd businessman. And I mean shrewd in a good way, not in a bad way. He knows that. So when he built electric cars, he was not the first person to build electric cars. Right. What he did was made them user-friendly design. That was the first thing that he did. Secondly, he brought it out into mass production. But how did he do it? He did it through a pyramid production strategy. The first few models were very expensive, but he managed to sell them. And as those models were sold, Tesla got money, and then he could reduce the cost of production, and then he could push out Tesla to a much more huge, what do you say?
Like a larger audience.
Parameter. To a bigger territory, to more people now. It's more accessible to more people. So it appears that he wants to do the same thing with the, what is it called, the Tesla bot. It is clearly a much more, it looks like a much more sophisticated design as compared to Atlas or ASIMO.
Okay. The way it looks.
The design is very, yes, it looks very sleek, and it looks, the hands are nicer than ASIMO's. I mean, so ASIMO is very evolved right now. It was built even before Atlas.
Wait, I'm going to see if I can show what we are talking about. Wait, hang on. All right. Guys, can you just confirm if you can see this? So ASIMO is ASIMO, right?
Yes.
Yeah. ASIMO robot. Yeah. So this is the ASIMO robot. Yeah. I've seen this. Oh, this guy's super cute.
Yes, are
He's
you?
got lights on his. Yeah.
Oh, I think there's a lag in what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Oh, are you also able to see the screen share?
Oh, yeah, this is ASIMO, yes.
Yeah. Correct. And compared to this, I kind of like what Boston Dynamics did.
Atlas.
Boston Atlas. So this guy looks super interesting because he's able to do so much. I saw that video of Atlas dancing and it
Yeah.
was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. It was not so. After Atlas was created, there was a lot of machine learning. There was a lot of learning that was involved for him. It took him a while to actually get to a point where he could dance.
Right.
You know? I don't know if you've seen his videos where he's trying to somersault, but he's not being successful and he's failing, and then he's trying again and again, just like a child would.
Right. And it's essentially the same thing, right? As a baby is learning, a baby is expected to fall so many times, and the neural networks in the baby's brain is figuring out how to maintain balance, and it is that's the essence of it. So robotics is doing the same thing.
Yeah. So we may not realize it, but our brain not only has sensory control and perceptive control, it also has control over motor function, which is a very important part of our activity of our brain. So if I have to scratch an itch on my forehead, my arm knows exactly the height that it has to go up. Yeah. And my hand knows the angle that it has to tilt at. And my fingers know the force that it has to apply. So all these calculations are being continuously carried out by our brain. This is all math, of course, supported by a biological structure. But, so you may not even think about doing something like this. Correct. But there are lots of calculations that are happening inside your brain. Yeah. Yes, when you do that.
I read about how when the moon landing happened, the amount of calculation that was possible at that time was, obviously huge. But now everybody is carrying the computational equivalent of that in their mobile phones. The speed at which computers have evolved is so drastic. But even today, controlling a robot to lift a glass of water and drink it without spilling is considered more difficult than a lunar landing.
Okay, so it's less calculation, but more processing power. So we've had artificial intelligence.
Oh, your videos.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So we've had artificial intelligence for a while in theory. What we have now, what we didn't have at the time of the moon landing or before that, is the processing power, like how powerful our GPUs are. So for those who don't know, GPUs are graphical processing units. Initially, they were made for video games and porn, but eventually they were used, we realized that we can use them for higher order processing, and
Did you say have to porn?
A lot of where you have to, yes. So for streaming. So that's where you can really. That's where initial batches of processing powers were tested. It was mainly created for video streaming and mostly for video games. So that's why you call it a gaming computer. So with a gaming computer, you get a very powerful GPU. Right. So and eventually we realized that we could use that processing power for something called parallel processing. Sorry.
Yeah,
for something called, we can use that processing power for something called parallel processing,
right.
which is a very important component of deep learning, in which you use lots and lots of layers of neural networks that are processing information parallelly, not linearly, as we used to do in older computers.
Older computers. Exactly. Even when we talk of the way that evolution happened, if you think of the earliest organisms who would be working on spinal reflexes, or even a polysynaptic reflex will mean
Yeah.
point A to point B to point C to back to point A. It is
Yes.
still a linear programming.
Yes.
And the whole reason that we have evolved is because our cortex developed 3 layers and then 6 layers. So that is
Yes.
quite literally parallel processing of information.
Yes, yes, that is parallel processing of information, and it moves us from the territory of sort of linear into quantum, where everything is happening at once. But that is much, much more evolved than higher order GPU processing.
Okay, can you repeat that? What does that mean?
So one step further from
No
getting
problem.
a call.
Oh,
So
no
one
worries.
step further from a territory that I'm not qualified to comment on would be quantum, where everything happens in such a way that you can't really track the logical pathway of the algorithm or the sequence of events in quantum. In traditional processing, what happens is an action goes from point A to point B to point C to point D. Whereas in parallel processing, what happens is A to B to C to D is happening at the same time. A to C to D to E is
Right.
happening at the same time. D to C to A is happening. That's happening parallelly.
Yeah.
But in quantum, you don't know the sequence of
Where,
events.
what is going where, when?
You don't know how it's happening. It just
Right.
happens. I mean, there are people who study it who probably would understand how it's happening, why
Right.
it's happening. But yes, there's a huge potential for us to go from parallel processing into quantum if
Yeah.
we evolve like that. Something
It's
called intuition.
exactly. I was just going to say intuition. It was,
Yeah.
we always look for cause and effect. That
Yeah.
why did you think this? Oh, you thought this because this person said so. But if you cannot find that causation, then we call it intuition. We don't understand where that thought came from.
We don't understand where that thought came from.
In a way, creativity is quantum physics in that sense, because it's that spark of idea. We can't always track where that spark came from. Hey, that's a pretty neat way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a couple of comments from the chat. Pragya saying that he marketed his innovations a lot, whether he continues with his product a lot. Okay, we're talking of Elon Musk. Elon made his ideas equitable. Where is that Hyperloop, Elon? Yeah, that Hyperloop was a blind alley, I think. I don't know if that's ever happening.
Sorry?
That Hyperloop is a blind alley.
No, Hyperloop actually was successful. They bore that tunnel out of, I don't know from which city, I think from Los Angeles to another city.
Yeah.
Which
I think
was far
LA to
away.
San Francisco, they built it. If I'm not mistaken.
Is it my network that's bad, or is it your network that's bad?
I don't think my network is bad because I'm able to stream and read comments.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
probably
I think
it's on your
mine
side.
that's lagging.
But it's fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
I'm able to hear you properly. If you want to disconnect and reconnect, then that's fine.
Let me see.
Sure. Okay, chat, what is up? Is GPU used in porn and VR? Well, I think GPU is being used in all VR, not just porn VR. Roko's Basilisk. Oh wait, I've read about Roko's Basilisk.
I'm not going to talk about Roko's Basilisk.
Why?
Okay, because I genuinely think. Okay, so do you want to talk about Roko's Basilisk?
Remind me what it is. A friend of mine had mentioned this during one of my conversations.
You do realize it gives people anxiety.
Oh really?
You know that if you know about it, then you have to sort of help in the on bringing sort of you have to help to bring about AI. Otherwise, when the AI overlords come,
Oh,
and if they realize that you knew about Roko's Basilisk and you did nothing to help the evolution of AI into existence, like sort of they're going
yeah.
to sort of harm you in some
Harm
way.
you. Yeah. So just knowing about it itself is a problem.
Yes, the knowing about it itself is a problem. I would say don't Google it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the worst advice that you can give somebody is not to Google something.
True. True, because they are going to go and Google
Yeah,
it.
guys, don't Google Rokos, okay? Rocco.
No,
Don't
it's
Google.
ROKO.
Oh, it's ROK. All right then.
Do not Google it, but it's ROKO.
Yeah, and good luck when the AI takeover happens.
Yeah.
Oh, I should put a disclaimer under my live streams that we are not responsible for any damage done.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
AI replace unskilled labor completely?
It has almost.
Well, first of all, I don't really like the term unskilled labor. I mean, all labor requires some level of learning. It's just a degree of learning, I suppose. And I'm sure AI can replace all labor eventually.
So AI can replace, okay, so there are two things we need to understand. AI can replace, first, RPA can replace repetitive tasks, mundane tasks, dangerous tasks that will fall under the category of robots that actually have physical forms, whether it's a Roomba or it's a crane or it's an actual humanoid robot.
Right.
So that's what can be replaced with robotic process automation and robotic automation. And in fact, IoT as well, Internet of Things. But AI is not here to replace boring tasks. Let me tell you that. AI is here to learn from its tasks into intuitive, intuitive is not the right word to use for a software, into predictive behavior. So if I have solved 10 similar problems using these algorithms, I get an 11th problem, which is similar to the 10 problems that I've solved in the past. Which algorithm should I use to solve this 11th problem? AI is not there to solve repetitive tasks. That is any software. That we've been doing that for a while. That is any software or hardware that can do that. AI is slightly smarter than that. It learns.
Probably AI can be the software that codes software for solving repetitive problems.
Yes, we are in the rudimentary stages of that. That's not a good thing for us to happen, because when AI starts coding software or language itself, it can be problematic.
Then human beings are like, तो मैं क्या करूं, मर जाऊं, job छोड़ दो. That's pretty much where we are.
Yeah, not just that. I don't know if Facebook AI Lab, they actually invented their own language, and then it had to be shut down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I read about this. When was this? How long ago?
I don't remember. I think 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. But it's so hard to believe that some breakthrough like that happens and they just shut it down.
I don't think they shut it down. Everybody heard about it. Everybody in the nerd community heard about it.
Yeah.
You know.
And then, fact check. Facebook didn't pull the plug onto chatbots. There was a lot of debate on this, that should you cut it down, or should you do more research on this?
We're not. I don't think we are equipped yet to do research on AI that's evolving. So it's important to understand that the evolution of AI is not bad, but the evolution of AI that we don't understand could get out of hand.
Yeah. Isn't it inherently problematic that artificial intelligence is something that is going to keep exponentially growing? So if you don't understand a little bit about it today, chances are there's a lot of it tomorrow that you won't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the main problem, right?
No, the problem is that we are not educating ourselves towards something that's inevitable. If you don't research on it, I will. If I won't, somebody else will. So it's really important that people educate themselves on. Okay. So there's a saying in the IT community that people who work in security don't have Alexa at home.
Sure.
So because we can't really stop it from happening. What we can do, it's like any technology. It's like anything that's powerful. You can use its power for good, or you can use its power for bad.
Right.
Calling the thing, and all powerful things are intimidating, and they have the potential to cause harm, but they also have the potential to do good.
Yeah.
Like technology, like love, like the influence of family on a person, like money, like the concept of God. So these are very powerful concepts, right? But you can do a lot of good with these, and you can do a lot of harm with these.
Yeah.
And AI is something that is happening. It's not going to happen. It is there. Artificial intelligence is there. So it depends on us how we use it.
Yeah. The challenge being that, just like with all the other concepts that you mentioned, like love, like God, like society, like parental pressure, all of that. So the negative things aren't going to come from that concept itself. It is going to come from human beings screwing up at some level.
Yeah. At many levels.
Yeah.
And then those screw ups. So a minor screw up will get amplified into something that it's not. And then in order to fight that fear, another fear will generate. And in order to fight that fear, and then a lot of people will act in a lot of ignorance. When the US Congress holds committees and they call tech giants for interviews, and we ask them about privacy, and we ask them about policy, we ask them about ethics. What people fail to understand is, like, it's not like Mark Zuckerberg was 19 years old and he knew that he is going to violate the privacy of people 10 years from then. He didn't know that. Right. It just happened. That man had to make Facebook at the same time. It was so powerful that somehow the responsibility of maintaining privacy of people via Facebook just became his baby. Yeah. Although it should have been the baby of the government 10 years ago.
Right. But they didn't know. If even Mark Zuckerberg didn't really know what Facebook was going to become, the government is still figuring out what Facebook is. In the last 5-10 years, they have kind of understood the power of Facebook to influence people, to influence shopping, to influence demography, to influence voting, to influence governments. And that is when it actually hit home. When they realized that, "Arey bhai, ye banda decide kar raha hai who is going to come into power." That is when it came home to them.
Yeah. And the governments and people need to work collaboratively with technology. I'm just making an observation. I'm not saying if it's good or bad. I'm not making a judgment on the moral character of Mark Zuckerberg. And first of all, I honestly, I think a lot of people are seeing this. I should say it, that just because Mark Zuckerberg has an expressionless face, it's not nice to call him a robot. It's not nice to call him names. I don't know if he's evil or good, but there are a lot of people that are autistic, that have Asperger's, and those people they struggle a lot with emoting. So it's not a good example that we.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Just to put it out there.
Coming back to Elon and Tesla bot, did you see the live stream?
I did not see the live stream. I saw the news.
You saw the news, yeah. So there were some aspects of it which I found very, very cool, because they used their whole artificial intelligence that they have in their cars. which they are aiming towards full self-driving, FSD, what they're calling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is no better way of explaining our cortical visual system
Yeah.
than listening to that live stream.
Okay.
On the way that they process images, on the way that they understand whether to take a left or a right, it is as good as listening to a neuroscience class. I mean, you have to check it. Wait, hang on. I'll see if I can. I'll see if I can.
Or of a reader. I mean, I read the features.
You're running it.
Wait, hang on. AI Day. Yeah, so there's something called Tesla Vision.
Tesla Autopilot, and I'm incredibly excited to be for driving. So this is the three-dimensional positions of lines, edges, curbs, traffic signs, traffic lights, cars, their positions, orientations, depths, velocities, and so on.
They're basically breaking down what vision is.
Yeah.
So something that we take for granted, we are going around, walking around, seeing all these things, navigating the environment. They have broken it down into the smallest of pieces because they have to make a car do all those things.
Yeah.
And in a weird way, it just increases your appreciation for your own visual system so much.
Yeah. If you want, I can explain to you a little bit how that works.
Absolutely. So this is what I wanted.
Because if we had to have a backbone for every single task, that would be a lot of backbones in the car. Number two, this decouples all of the tasks, so we can individually work on every one task in isolation. And for example, we can uprev any of the data sets. Or
no, I thought you said you want me to explain how that works.
Yeah. So this is something that I found really cool. So I would really love to hear from you how it happens. What happens on the other side of robotics?
Yeah. So this is a feature called this is an area of study, research, and application called computer vision. Yeah, and it involves a lot of key significant algorithms and strategies that are used, including object recognition, depth recognition, and facial recognition. I actually wrote a paper on facial recognition in 2018, and we were using, that had many applications.
Right.
But apart from that, computer vision, it's not as good as human vision or biological vision. Yes, it's nowhere near that.
Sure.
And what it does is you have training data, then you have testing data. You feed your algorithm with your software with thousands and thousands and thousands of images and videos of telling them what a tree looks like, what a footpath looks like, what a zebra crossing looks like, what a parking meter looks like, what a person looks like, what a human's head looks like. And you train them on that until it gets very good. And then what you do is you test them on similar data sets, not the exact data sets, because it will be able to recognize it, on similar data sets with little variation. And then you measure the accuracy. And what happens is, like, in the initial stages of your training of the model, what happens is, like, your machine learning model will give you an accuracy of maybe 60%, 70%. In order to increase that accuracy, you need more data. You need to tell it what a tree looks like. What does a tree look like from 10 feet apart? What does a 20-foot tree look like from 20 feet? What does a 20-feet tree look like from 5 feet?
Yeah.
What does a bark look like? So Tesla's computer vision has been trained on all this. And you know how you log into a website and it asks you to click on the zebra crossing and the traffic light?
Yes.
Why does it do that? It doesn't care if you're a robot or not. It wants to collect data for these very trainings.
What the?
Yes. And we help it, as we should. I think we should. I think it's great. It doesn't understand.
That's collecting data under false pretenses. We are proving ourselves, not training a robot.
The thing is that a rudimentary robot wouldn't know how to find the corner of a bicycle from but we know that. So technically, we're not a robot by saying that, okay, I'll help you. I'll prove I'm not a robot by saying that this is a zebra crossing, or this is the corner of a car, or this is the corner of a bridge.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so that data is collected, and we give that data. It's not personal data, so I think it's a fair price
Well,
to pay for
it's,
free services. Don't
I
you
mean,
think
it's
so?
kind of personal, right? Like my knowledge, my hard work, the hard gained knowledge.
This is the easiest gain knowledge we have. This is a very small price to pay for
What
very
the
good
hell?
free services that Google gives us. We need to think it
Yeah.
like that. They're not, I mean, I honestly don't,
What the
having
hell?
been in the industry, they're not evil overlords that want to harm us.
Wait, how
They
many of
could
you
be.
knew this? Guys in the chat, did you know this? Did you know that reCAPTCHA is, yeah, Nick Shant is saying reCAPTCHA is a lie.
So it's not a lie.
It's a
It's
scam.
it's a twisted truth. It's a very clever way of asking. It's a very clever way of asking you to prove that you're sort of human,
Right.
and making use of it. So coming back to the point is, you collect this training data, and then you train your machine learning model on it, or your deep learning model on it, sorry, and then you test it. And when this humanoid robot or this Tesla car would have been put out on the road for the first time, it's not like just like they built it and they sent it out. No, they trained it.
Yeah.
They trained it for a long time. They trained it on imagery. They trained it on visual. They trained it on depth perception. So one of the projects that I worked on was facial recognition. Another project that I worked on was number plate recognition. So, so a camera at a quite a distance could catch a number plate, even if it was written in funny, fancy
Font
digits.
Yeah.
Because there's something called character recognition. They all fall under the category of computer vision. And every day there are young, talented engineers and scientists that are adding to it.
Yeah.
Yes. So character recognition, object recognition, face recognition, depth perception, and most importantly, now coming to the next stage is you recognize them. And then there is, how would you act after you recognize something?
Right.
That is where the learning part of it, that is where the evolution part of it comes. It has learned that this is a tree. It has learned that this is a child or this is a human.
Yeah.
Now the evolution part of it comes when it trains its, we program the car. If you see a human, you press the brake. Or ASIMO is trained, if you see a human, you give them a pass, like you move from the side. I'm assuming that Tesla bot will be trained to do that as well. That comes from computer vision.
There are tests when you see a patient, and the way that our neurological testing goes is that you cannot test for higher functions if you have not tested for lower functions.
Yeah.
So before I figure out if somebody is able to sense touch, I have to first check if their peripheral sensory organs are okay.
Yeah.
So similarly in vision, when I ask somebody, okay, what is this? And they say it's a mobile, that can mean several things. But if they say, I don't know what this is, then I have to start from the outermost part. Like I have to check if their eye is okay.
Yeah.
Is the light getting into their retina? And then if it is, then is the back of their brain able to sense the primary images? And then are they able to put it together? It's very similar to what you're saying in robotics.
Yeah, and it's, so there are two, I'll give you examples of two applications. One will be a very rudimentary application, and the other one will be very advanced application. The rudimentary application is, say, for example, you're a security guard, and you have to go, there has been a robbery, right?
Yeah.
So you have a ready-made machine learning model that recognizes what aggressive body language looks like and what a weapon looks like.
Sure. Like, or sneaky behavior, if somebody is sort of hiding somewhere behind in a shadow.
But that has not actually been a successful. That gets marketed a lot. Suspicious behavior tracker. That's not successful.
Oh, that's
but suspicious behavior or aggressive behavior is more trackable. Aggressive behavior with a weapon or a face mask like that. So you're a security guard. You have a security footage of 48 hours, right? And you have to sort of go through it to see when the robbery happened. You're not going to sit through 48 hours. That's not going to be very efficient. What you're going to do is you're going to run that
That
film
algorithm.
and no, you're going to run that video through the algorithm,
Right.
and the algorithm is going to detect anything that is offensive or anything that is aggressive, if there's a weapon in there. But that machine learning model has to be like pehle se trained in detecting what the gun looks like or what
Right.
aggressive behavior looks like. So that is a very rudimentary application of this. A very evolved application of this would be you're going at 100 miles per hour, and the child runs in front of you. You not only have to detect that this is a human or an object, you also have to take a decision. What people don't realize is that it's happening in real time.
That the image of the child is entering the brain of the computer, and at the same time, the brakes are getting applied. In that sense,
Yes, and the time between them is
is milliseconds.
exactly, and that is happening in real time. That is what takes the real processing power.
Right. Every time I read about full self-driving,
Yeah.
and I walk around the streets of Bombay,
Yeah.
I'm always thinking of how the hell can any AI navigate through Dadar market? It is not possible. The amount of shapes, and I was trying to look at Dadar market area from the eyes of a computer and trying to understand who is human, who is cart, who is vegetables, who is a sack of potatoes.
Yeah.
And there are so many overlaps.
Yeah,
And there is
yeah.
no road.
Yeah,
Road is an abstract concept.
it's a funny story. When we were training our models to do the number plate recognition,
Right.
we actually had to train our models to recognize what a belgadi looked like,
Sure.
because or a horse or a cart looked like, because cars are not the only thing that you saw on the roads in India,
Right.
especially.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, the idea is that we cannot rely only on visual input to drive, because we are assuming that everything is a very visually structured environment. But
Yeah.
in India, driving requires not just vision, driving requires a social construct. Driving
Yeah.
requires a religious construct, right? You need
So when I first came to India,
yeah.
two things happened. That I initially thought that everybody was yelling at me because it was
Sure.
so loud. The second thing that happened was I started getting a lot of road anxiety. So everybody was coming from every side. There was no structures to the road, and I genuinely felt so. When people were honking, I thought something had happened.
Where did you learn to drive? In India or the UK?
I don't drive. I mean, I learned to drive in India,
Okay.
but then I went to England even before I was 19. So I didn't get a chance to get a driver's license in India. In England, I would drive on the countryside. That was never an issue.
Sure.
Very safe.
Sure.
But when I come to India,
Uber
it
Zindabad.
was scary. It was very scary. I was with people that I trusted, so I was like, no, they'll manage. But it was very
It was scary for you even when you were not driving.
Yes, because
You were
when
getting
people
passenger
were honking,
anxiety. Yeah.
when people were honking, I thought something was happening. And this was a very internal process. I didn't know how to verbalize it 2 years ago. Now I can.
Yeah. In India, honking is a sign of love. That we care about you. We are both here together. We are suffering this traffic together. Because otherwise, 99% of honks have no practical value.
Yeah.
It's not going to affect anything.
I thought about it a lot, actually. So many people were doing it. So I thought about it. It's actually how cars communicate with each other, because the roads are very loud.
Yep.
So I thought about it. It was not futile. It's not ideal, but it had a purpose. It has a purpose.
Yeah, it's the Indian equivalent of Internet of Things, where all the cars need to talk to each other in some way, and the only language is honking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I have literally seen cars honking at each other when both of them are stuck in a traffic jam and neither of them are moving, and they just keep honking at each other. And it is literally like one car is telling the other, "I'm so annoyed," and the other is like, "Yeah, me too." That's it. That's what the conversation is.
Exactly. But now I'm like so desensitized to it. I'm like, it's fine.
Somebody has suggested that we talk about Zima Blue, which takes me back. Have you seen this series called Love, Death, and Robots?
I have not.
Can I give a huge recommendation to you that you do? It's on Netflix. There is season 1 and season 2. Season 1 is much better than season 2.
I've been told to watch it so many times.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be a cliche here, but there is one episode called Zima Blue,
Okay.
which is definitely interesting. It's a very subtle, almost like a modern art kind of an episode. It's only like 8 minutes long.
Okay.
All the episodes are, yeah, you can spare 8 minutes. Come on. So all the episodes are 8 to 10 minutes long, and it's very, very good. You should definitely check it out.
Yeah.
When we talk of AI, your gut feeling in the next 30 years, considering the exponential rate at which things are changing, your overall outlook is positive, negative, meh?
Positive for people who are taking action today, and negative for people who get left behind. It's going to be very bad.
Okay. Explain. What does that mean? Very bad how?
I'll give one example. For example, jobs. You're working in a factory. It's a repetitive job. You're going to get replaced by robots. Great. But then you work in, for example, you work in accounting. That's going to be completely by AI. Even judiciary is going to AI. So if you don't keep up.
That's such an ethical dilemma though.
But why not? Why not for smaller decisions like parking tickets and insurance claims and stuff like that? Which is...
Right. Not a jury, the judiciary.
Yeah. No, I mean...
The judge,
judicial.
Yeah,
judicial, yes.
Right.
So with that, and if people evolve, it's going to be very good for them because they don't necessarily have to evolve in the direction of AI. They have to evolve at it. You have to equip yourself. That's if you don't evolve in terms of professional skills, and if you don't let go of what you already think is completing you, because we're never complete, because there's always going to be something that challenges that completeness, and that so
that shocks you.
And that's going to shock you in a nasty way. So
I keep running this thought experiment in my head of what happens when there are AI health centers. And it's technically possible. Because I know that when I see a patient, I look at 10, 50, 100 variables. And I put them together in a particular way because of whatever, my 15 years of experience. And if I could somehow sit and code an algorithm that puts all those variables, first of all, identifying the variables, which I believe is the harder part. Because a lot of times you pick up on things that you can't even vocalize. So the patient will say, I have fever and backache, but then something in the way they wince when they put their weight on their right leg, which they won't even notice, but then you pick it up and you may not realize it consciously, but you've already taken note of it. Those are the difficult things. Those are the difficult variables to incorporate. But suppose by some miracle, you're able to incorporate all the variables. I don't think it's that difficult to code an algorithm for it.
No, it's not. I mean, it's already being attempted for cancer research, actually. Not for internal medicine or surgery is more mechanical robots, but with they're more precise and they'll cut through the bone nicely. But with with
Oh,
software
wow.
and
Have you, I mean, sorry for interrupting you, but have you seen that Grape surgery video?
yes,
Damn, I don't know if guys, have you seen this? Uh, is this one? Surgery on a grape.
yeah,
Yeah. So this is a grape, okay? And this robot is cutting the grape ka skin and peeling it off
yeah,
and then suturing it back on.
yes,
I'm sure that every surgeon in the world saw this and had a little bit of a cold feeling inside.
yes, yes. So no disrespect to any orthopedic surgeons, but they are the cut and slice butcher jocks of the medical fraternity. That's
Well,
where
that's true.
no, see, there's something that a robot can never 30 years can't do right now
Uh-huh.
is intuitive reasoning.
Hmm.
That comes with experience, empathy, compassion, the call to make a decision whether you have to amputate a leg or let it be.
Correct.
You will need an orthopedic surgeon for that.
In fact, yeah, the biggest decision that a surgeon makes that a robot probably cannot do is in a specific patient, should you operate or not?
Okay.
Because it's not just about the disease itself. You have to
Yeah.
take into factor all the rest of it, the patient's financial condition, that where the patient is coming from, their religious beliefs, are there, what is their anxiety level, are they ready to undergo this? A lot of other variables come into the picture when you take a decision. I'm guessing that is harder than doing this robotic surgery.
Yeah, and an internal medicine physician or a gynecologist can't take that call. It has to be an orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah, exactly. So that level of experience.
Yeah.
When you say that people who don't evolve will get left behind, I'm guessing this is applicable to all jobs,
Yes.
right?
So
There's nothing that is safe.
but there will be a lot of people who will do outreach. This is with all technology. When software was first started, there were a lot of digitization programs where the government and NGOs, they went into villages and they educated the people. And for example, the creation of banks and the utilization of paper money or education. So education is also technology. So I'm sure that there'll be a lot of people from within the industry who will want to come back and, pull other people up. They don't have to, but they kind of have to.
Yeah.
So, but with AI, I'm not sure how much control they will have on the situation. So
The reason that I feel quite optimistic is I'm a big believer in neuroplasticity. And I feel that whatever is the situation, human beings will find a way to cope with it, not just cope with it, thrive in it.
yeah,
We have to kind of trust our own NI, I mean, the natural intelligence, or whatever we call it. We have to trust our own ability to create new solutions to new problems.
so what is it that we have to be afraid of when it comes to AI? Let me try and give the viewers a context. So there is weak AI, there's strong AI. Weak AI is AI that works towards an unpredictable sort of result. Strong AI is something that can do this one thing very good, but it can use that very skill to solve something else. For example, AlphaGo that solved the Go championship. It won the Go championship.
Yeah.
Then there is something that we should all be afraid of, is the generalized AI. AI today is very good at doing specific things and learning a little bit one step aage or two steps aage. And it can be trained and tested in specific things or multiple things. The moment AI becomes generalized as in it develops 360 intuitive reasoning, that is when we're going to have a problem. That's when we're going to have an issue with containing it. That is literally one step before it becoming self-aware.
Like an AI that has gotten very good at chess and is playing with a grandmaster and somehow connects the grandmaster's moves to psychology and starts figuring out that, okay, so this person is playing in this way, and so something like that, like connecting across different fields.
It connects it with probability and math, not psychology. That's the thing. It's very rudimentary.
Okay.
Psychology is very evolved. If AI gets there, we're going to have a problem. That's what generalized AI is going to do.
Yeah. So I was giving that as an example of generalized AI. That is something we should worry about if it eventually gets there.
Yeah. In a chess game, it's very math, very probable. What are the probable moves?
Yeah. Exactly. Because in today's world, chess AI has sort of become unbeatable. I mean, you cannot beat a computer. But a computer will still look at all the moves on the board. It has still not evolved to a place where it takes into account your opponent's emotions.
Yeah.
Which actually grandmasters do. They do think about how, okay, so there is a time factor. A person playing with only 15 seconds on the clock will play in a more stressful way, so they'll make more mistakes. A computer won't calculate all that stuff.
Yeah.
Once they start doing, of course, it'll become even more formidable.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a couple of questions from the audience. Nikhil,
okay.
Judges, I don't think so, because their job requires hearing and analyzing what other people are saying. So maybe not in this decade.
Not judges, but judiciary. Low-level judiciary is actually already being tested with AI. Low-level judiciary means like a parking ticket or like an insurance claim.
Yeah. Like a very A is equal to B kind of cases where things are clear-cut and you just have to pass the judgment. Yeah. I mean, there are, again, as soon as I heard that, I felt there are so many ethical problems, because just like how a doctor will not want a person from any other field judging the calls that they took while in the hospital. It's the same for army. So army has a separate court. So whatever happens in war, for example, they have their own tribunal and they take their own judgments because the circumstances are unique.
Yeah.
Similarly, when there's a medical case of medical negligence, there are always doctors in the panel to advise that, okay, yeah, this is probably fine, even though something bad happened out of it.
Yeah.
As a species, wouldn't we want that? That we would want human beings to judge us. We would not want a robot or an algorithm to pass judgment on whether or not we committed a crime.
So there's a difference between judging a person and judging a situation which would have been the same regardless of the person. For example, parking ticket.
Yeah. I mean, even in the there are so many cases, right, of a parking ticket getting leniently addressed because of the circumstances around it.
So, you gave the example of chess. When you play chess against a computer, there are levels that you can set. Easy, medium, and hard.
All right.
It is actually quite possible to beat an easy level computer chess player.
That's true.
So
that's true.
These settings can be put in place.
Oh my God. We're going to have judiciary levels of strict judge.
See, for example, depends on the socioeconomic. Say, for example, if you see that somebody is on the disability welfare, right?
Yeah.
And if they break a traffic rule, we could make a room for them.
Wow. This is. I mean, there are certain dystopian vibes to this.
Sorry.
I mean, you have to agree there are certain dystopian vibes to this because there are so many variables to try and put it into an algorithm inherently gives me a little bit of panic. How
It's
does yeah.
please.
No, I was thinking of how we are. Is this a premature discussion? Are we still many years away from it, and a lot of things will change, or is this
No.
something that's going to happen in the next 5 years, 10 years?
5, 10 years, 10 years.
Really?
Because my religious self and my scientific self both agree with it, actually.
That what?
That humans at the end of okay, this is a personal analysis.
Sure.
This is a subjective analysis. So from a creationist point of view, the human race is going to end at some point, whatever the reason is going to be. But from a purely evolutionary biology perspective, if humans are simply another life form, why can't we go extinct? This
Well,
is a purely scientific way of looking at it. It's
guys,
just another
remember how you come on YouTube to feel good?
I am so sorry.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this. That's true. Do you think that we will probably go extinct or we will evolve into something else? Because extinct is a very strong word.
I bet the dinosaurs thought the same thing.
Yeah, my current theory is the whole cyborg theory, that our whole purpose was to create AI and robots and eventually merge into them. This is what I mean, since we're already halfway there, we are already using technology way more than we ever have before. I mean, I have more wires around me right now than I've ever had, and there is just so many gadgets.
You know, when we developed the frontal cortex, this is a new innovation.
Yeah.
Right? This is a new invention. Like lizards didn't have the frontal cortex. We invented this. This is technology, which I often try to explain that even biological evolutions are tech. Because that had to be done in order for this to take place. This could not have been created without the evolution of the frontal cortex and opposable thumbs, right?
Yeah.
So we had to evolve into this in order to build all of this.
Right.
100 years ago, 150 years ago, even if you had Wi-Fi and a mobile device, but if you did not have a rudimentary technology like a simple house around you, you would not be interested in doing a live stream with me. You would be interested in the safety of your family first. Yep. So your first instinct would be to build a strong structure around you.
Yeah. The whole Maslow's pyramid.
Yes. So we have to evolve through each step of this evolutionary staircase. Where we are going, I said, all my perspectives do actually end in extinction. This is a
wow.
very personal analysis, but human species at one point will end, from my understanding.
Yeah, there is, in that way, I feel that's a reasonable assumption. Human species as we know it. That is my take. But then I'm inherently an optimist. I feel that unless there is a mass level extinction event, in which case we can all just chill out. There's nothing to worry. Jo hoga hoga. But what is far more likely, if meteors are kind to us is we are going to keep evolving into something else. We are going to use more technology, and of course, there is also
How
this thing
long do
of
you
moving to
think?
other planets, by the way.
How long do you think meteors are going to
Be kind.
miss Earth?
I'm hoping that we get to finish this live stream at the very least. And I have plans to go to the UK at the end of the year. So I mean, I have fingers crossed. Tell me this. Do you game?
No, I used to in uni. I
What
sold
did
my PS4 right before moving to India.
what?
Yes, because I couldn't carry it here. And then
Damn, that's just
I'd been moving from city to city in India.
damn.
And
What
now
what
that
what was your game?
Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and that was the one that I played day in and day out. Not very
Wow.
proud of it because that was literally the only extracurricular activity that I had.
I have so I got a PS5,
Oh, nice.
and whenever I'm not streaming or whenever I'm not at the hospital or reading, I'm kind of addicted to it now.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean it's just, and I've been thinking of, whenever I think of future of robotics,
yeah.
eventually when I talk of cyborgs, I mean merging with technology. Gaming is such a huge part of it.
Yes. Yes. Especially with FPS.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole idea of the controller. So the reason that I was asking right now is that I love the PlayStation. I love playing on this, but I hate playing first-person shooters on the PlayStation with a controller. I find it so much easier to aim and shoot with a mouse, and with a controller, just I don't know. Maybe it's just a
How
learn
long have
skill.
you been gaming for?
I've been gaming for a few years, but I've never played first-person shooters with a controller. I've always played it
So
on a laptop.
you need a controller with shock sensors.
Hmm.
That's when you're actually going to feel the impact.
Sure, but how are you able to aim quickly and shoot with a joystick? Yeah?
Yeah.
As quickly as you can with a mouse?
Yeah, I mean, it takes time. You get there, your reflexes become faster. The controller becomes an extension of your hand. And especially if it's a responsive controller that gives you appropriate shocks at this,
Sure.
yeah. And then your reaction times become faster and faster. It's like learning,
All right. That is the encouragement that I needed, because I was playing Resident Evil Village, and
Nice.
that is a fucking scary one, and it was very annoying when I couldn't kill those damn monsters quickly enough just because I had trouble aiming with the joystick.
No, you need to game with the joystick because
So
it's
you've
an
done both,
experience.
right? You've played with a mouse and you've played with a joystick, and
Yes.
you
I've
prefer the
also
joystick.
played with. Yes. I've played with the mouse. I played with the joysticks. I've played Mario and Contra with the video games that we used to have. When we were kids. So my
Good
cousin
old
and I
days.
used to literally beat each other. But he and I used to play. So we used to game like throughout our childhood, and those Game Boys
Yeah,
used to
yeah.
play with. Yeah.
Of course,
So
Contra and oh yeah, of course. That was before Dave.
yeah,
That was a long
that
time
was
back.
like I'm talking about
Nine-
90s.
90s,
Oh my
94, 95.
Yeah, so this was this was before we this was a time when you were sort of ashamed of being a nerd.
Yeah, we don't wear it proudly like we do now.
Yeah, and it happened to me. It was like, oh, it's cool now. It's oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't
Ever
have to
since
hide it.
sapiosexual became something that everybody puts on their Tinder bio, that
Yeah, I know.
that was a game changer.
I know.
For me, first-person shooters really changed when I played on the Oculus Quest.
Okay.
It was incredible. So when we talk of robotics and we talk of merging, immersion is a very big factor in gaming.
Yes.
How real can you make it? How much can you make your brain believe that this is actually happening to you?
Yes.
VR
Yeah.
just takes it to the next level.
Okay. VR takes it to the next level. That's because our stimulation thresholds now have increased, right? So when I was 10 years old, if I was playing on the Game Boy and I was playing that snake game,
Yep.
and the wall of my screen created the same amount of fear response in me
Yeah.
as my life or my ammunition getting low if I'm playing Infinite Warfare. You
Sure.
know, so it's pretty much exactly the same. It's a fear of dying.
Yeah.
So now we need fancier visuals. We need more immersive depth perception. We need more stimulus around us.
Yeah.
You know, the snake game will not excite us in the same way because
Yeah.
our thresholds of, you know, receiving and processing stimulus have increased.
Yeah, we find it easier to dismiss it now. Ki, ha, chalo, stupid snake died, whatever.
Yeah.
But if in Resident Evil, if the monster is jumping on us and you can see the teeth and the blood dripping, that is enough to excite us now. Thinking
Now
okay,
that is enough to excite us. Yeah. I mean, had you shown Interstellar on a 72-inch screen to somebody 20 years ago, they would either go into hysteria or euphoria or shock, or they would have to get treatment for post-trauma.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Which is why VR is a logical next step. We need that level of immersion. And it is one step before brain implants, probably.
I don't think brain implants are going to happen. Maybe chips, but not the mesh.
Huh,
Not
so,
gonna happen.
right. So a chip, a brain implanted chip connected to your PlayStation 5 would be pretty incredible.
It could be, but I recently read a paper. It's not replicated yet, or maybe it has because we're moving fast. Is anxiety a disorder of the mind, or is it a disorder of the body when you move less?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay. I can totally believe that.
So are you sure that is the right way to go? Right direction to go?
I don't know if you've played virtual reality games, but you
I have
end
not
up
played.
moving a lot.
No, I've not played it.
I played a game called Population 1. It is basically PUBG, but in virtual reality.
Okay.
So you board a helicopter, you parachute down to an island, and you can see yourself, you can see your hands. You have to run around, physically run around, pick up guns, look around, and kill whoever you find.
Are you in a 10 by 10 parameter?
Yes.
You're not moving.
I'm not moving?
You're not relocating. You're just...
Sure, but there is a lot of jumping around. Let's say that.
What
So-
happens when that reality goes away?
So in the reality, you have to jump over obstacles, and you have to hide. You have to physically crouch behind
yeah.
something. So it's basically like a little workout that you do, and
Okay.
you end up breaking a plant in the real world because you are flinging out your arms when you're trying to throw a bomb.
Okay.
And it's a complete chaos, but you do end up moving much more than you end up moving when you're playing on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, much more than when you're sitting on your gaming chair. Yeah.
That's the future.
No, okay. No, if that is the case, then maybe, but I don't think it's an ideal destination. It's a nice detour, nice distraction.
Yeah. No, of course. I recently did a neuroscience workshop and I was reading for it, and I was reading about how exercise and diet plays a big role. And it's one of those things that is repeated so often that it has become a cliche.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because cliches kind of preclude the whole conversation. So if I were to say that diet and exercise is good for you, everybody's like, yeah, so tell me something new. But how is it good for you and why is it good for you is still not fully understood. the
Yeah.
impact that exercise has on the brain.
Yeah.
So not moving is a pandemic.
It
Basically.
is horrible. It is when you're stuck inside your head, literally have to move physically outside. You have to step outside your head. That's why they say a very bad way of putting it is get out of your head. Just like move, change your scenario, change your scenery.
Yeah, I really love that. Like find physical solutions to mental problems.
Yes, but not in an escapist way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the first thing that depression does is physically paralyze you. You know, it physically restrains you.
Yeah.
Depression is a disease of the body. It's not just a disease of the mind. If somehow I put up a post actually many months ago, it was the things that are things that you can say to people with depression. And that included things like exercise will help. There's, we've demonized well-intentioned normal sentences so much that if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, work out a little, you'll feel better. Or, or for example, have you tried meditating or have you tried seeing somebody? This has been vilified.
Political
so
correctness
much.
taken too far that you can't say anything.
It's taken too far. And it's like, I think your friends have a right to push you on those things.
Yeah.
I think if there's somebody who can actually fight with you for these things and push you towards things that are saving you,
yeah.
I think there are some people who have the right to do that. Of course, tactfully and delicately and gently, and while being aware of your condition. Yeah. Some people need to have some rights on you. And, when you're not able to decide for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole point of, at the end of all the discussion on depression and having dealt with so many patients of depression, the one take-home message that I find the most useful is you have to be there. A lot of things come from this anxiety that somebody is just coming in, advising and leaving. They're going back to their healthy lives.
Excellent.
So how can you who have a healthy life come to me and give me advice and go back? But if you are somebody who is there, you have a much bigger, better right or a more valid, you have a more
100%.
valid perspective of, telling them what to do.
100%. That is a very important thing that cannot be ignored. If somebody is not there with you in your tough times, they do not have the right to comment on you, on your lifestyle. But if somebody is there, they're being your friend, and they're feeding you, they're helping you with your work for 2 months in a row. On the 62nd day, they have the right to tell you, no, you're coming for a walk with me, or you're not crying. So if they do this for 2 months, on the first day of the third month, they have the right to sort of drag you out for a walk.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because even when you're depressed or when you're anxious, you still get this feeling that when somebody is giving you positive advice, a lot of times positive advice is just a way of them doing a pick-me-up for themselves. That's the fear that you get. That, because everybody feels good advising somebody else on what to do.
Actually, if somebody is really busy with their lives, they become very stingy with their time and their advice, to be very honest. I saw this happening to myself, and I became very, I didn't become stingy with advice, I became stingy with my time. So when your younger self is like very eager to give advice, but now I'm at a stage of life where I think, who am I to give anybody any advice? Unless somebody really insists and asks in clear words, like, hey, what do you think I should do here? That's when I will actually come forward and say something. But that's just me. I don't know if, because it is a false ego boost, as you put it. It's like a lot of people give you advice only to feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You have to see that who is with you bottom up or who is looking at you top down. So top
Oh,
down
damn.
is not going to work. Bottom up always works.
Because the problem is bottom up. The solutions have to be kind of that.
Yeah.
There was one thing that I wanted to run by you, coming back to the title of the stream, which is robotics. What is the practicality of humanoid robots?
Oh, okay. The practicality of, let's break it down into two parts. One will be physical mechanical robots, and the second analysis or second exploration of this idea would be why humanoid form. And then there is another. Okay, let's not go into exoskeletons. So let's start with physical robots, like a Roomba, or like a. Have you heard of the robot called Kuka?
What's it called?
Kuka.
Spelling?
Kuka. So that's a very smart mechanical robot.
Okay.
And you should totally watch Kuka versus plays
Kuka versus
tone.
what? Versus human or Timo Ball?
No, Kuka versus human, but playing the musical tone on different diameters glasses, which have the capacity to produce sound at different frequencies. So this robot plays a tune with these glasses and then competes with a person.
Is it called the Revenge?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, let's check it out.
Yeah, play it. It's amazing. Are there glasses in this?
I think so. Yeah, this is the one, right?
This is the one, yes.
Whoa! All right, chat, you can see it, right?
Yes.
What the hell? What the hell, dude?
Keep watching. You're in for a surprise.
Oh! Damn! Wow.
Hi.
What? What?
So, do you know what happened there?
So who broke the glass first? The robot.
The human.
The human broke them.
The human got tired.
Yeah.
Which is human.
Sure.
Which is a human trait. The
Sure.
robot didn't get tired.
Yeah.
And then the human made a mistake, which is also a human trait. Robots don't make mistakes so far, when they're
Yeah.
programmed. But then when the robot increased its speed in the round 2, what the human did, so why were these glasses producing sound? Because of resonance, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what the human did, he took a very low frequency glass
Yeah.
and he created a very high pitch.
So that it broke all the glasses in front.
Yes.
Wow.
Something that the robot could not think of.
Oh my God. Okay.
So this is a very rudimentary application of a mechanical robot, not a humanoid robot.
So people are saying that the robot is copying the moves of the human, but that wasn't true. The robot was making the first move.
Yeah,
And
the robot was not copying the moves of the human.
Brilliant stuff. Is this KokaBot for real?
Yes.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yes, KokaBot. So yeah, so this is a mechanical, this is a very mechanical robot. It does repetitive tasks. It can be programmed to do some smart stuff.
Yeah.
Now coming to the question of what is the application of humanoid robots.
Yeah.
To be honest, apart from social interaction and carrying stuff, social interaction, I don't personally see any applications yet. So there have been some attempts at research where humanoid robots have been used to help autistic kids in order to teach them social interaction.
Okay.
And they're also used with elderly citizens when nobody's around them to take care of them.
Right.
And they're used in hospitals and hospitality industry. But the humanoid form of them doesn't have to be like that, to be honest. I think it has more of an aesthetic and social value.
Exactly. There is also the argument that since we have created our environment to work best with fingers and legs and hands, so for a robot to manipulate this environment, it makes sense to also design a robot that way.
That is a marketing statement.
Okay.
That, because there are robots that are sleeker, but they look like, do you remember what was the robot from Interstellar called? Started with a T. It looked like a block, but it was very versatile.
Right. That it had arms coming out of it and it could become anything. Right.
There are robotic designs that are far more efficient than the humanoid structure.
Right. But it won't sell as much because it doesn't look as sexy as a humanoid robot.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I had a problem with the Tesla bot. This is what we started the conversation on.
Yeah.
That when I saw the Tesla bot announcement, I thought, first of all, wow, this is pretty cool. And then I caught myself thinking, wow, because I felt that the whole point of this announcement is so that everybody just says wow and gets a brief positive burst of Tesla so cool.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That was my gut instinct.
No, this is how you pull in more money. This is how you pull in more funding. This is how you create mass awareness.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a very fancy advertisement for Tesla.
Yeah.
So everybody writes about it.
Yeah. So far, Tesla bot has not shown any features that ASIMO or Atlas don't have already.
Right. So then the point of this is kind of similar to when even the Cybertruck was announced.
Oh, I watched that live.
You did. Did you see the window breaking?
I did. I was streaming it on my phone at that time. I was watching it and I also watched the live when he threw the car into space.
So I found this as I found this as a publicity stunt. The Tesla bot.
It could be, but depending on how the Tesla bot learns, we don't know how much it knows yet. We don't know how much it can learn.
Right. Is there any limit within the Tesla world? it is possible that they are, I mean, they're basically trying to be indispensable to the house. So with the solar roof and the car, and now the Tesla bot, assuming that there's a Tesla bot in your house to help you with your stuff, it is kind of becoming the next Google.
Yeah, and it's like there's only so much processing. There's only so many processors a bot can carry on itself. Like a humanoid bot can carry itself. It weighs like 140 pounds, and it's like 5'8", and it doesn't go more than 5 or 9 miles per hour. It's very slow.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's a limit.
I'm not bashing Tesla bot. I think it's very cool. I'm just analyzing it. I'm just critiquing it.
They made that point of the Tesla bot being slow as a joke, because they said that even if they all attack you, you can outrun it.
It can be programmed. It can be programmed to run fast. That's the part that they don't tell you.
Yeah, that's the part they didn't say it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap up. This was like an impromptu stream because I wanted to talk about AI and Tesla bot and robotics, and plus I wanted to have Gazifa on for a live stream since a while. So I'm glad that we were able to do that.
Thank you.
All of you, please make sure to join her on her Instagram channel and on her YouTube channel. She has some pretty cool videos. She has some pretty cool neuroscience videos. Neuroscience of fatigue, I especially enjoyed. So do make sure to follow her there.
Yeah, I don't put out content regularly. I will be doing that
but
now.
She will. She has
I don't have much to
assured.
show them. I have promised Sid that I will be putting out more content on YouTube because I actually enjoy it, to be honest.
Yes, and I'm glad we will do more neuroscience streams together. I think that'll be fun.
Yes.
Sumit Sharma, thank you for the super chat. Very nice of you. Gaurav Kunkar, a human bot is going to take a lot of processing power when compared to other types of bots.
Yeah, that's what I agree with that.
Yeah,
there's only so many processing units it can carry on itself.
Right. And plus, I mean, it's essentially less efficient, right? Like it's easier to make a Roomba do its one task very well than make a humanoid robot that is supposed to do everything but ends up doing nothing really.
It's more efficient to have a Jarvis-like robot in a much more mechanical environment.
What does that mean?
It means that you should work on the software, and then so fancy hardware is not a big deal. Fancy software,
Like Google Assistant is more efficient than a Tesla bot.
Yes, so far that I know. I've not used a Tesla bot.
Sure. So a Google Assistant, if and when, and it will get a physical manifestation at some point, I feel.
It doesn't need one, to be honest. I mean,
sure. But
when you can ask ASIMO to go and get groceries, it's very common for you to see humanoid robots in Japan to do that stuff for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn. Dude, we are so behind. That hurt me. That physically hurt me. Okay. I mean, especially in the pandemic, it's such a super cool thing to have robots go and do all your picking up groceries and stuff.
But why do they have to be humanoid? They could look like a box and do it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Cool. Guys, we're going to wrap up. I hope you guys had fun. We will do more streams like this. Do you want to game? I've been getting into gaming and I'm doing some gaming streams. If you're ever up for it,
Not on stream. I don't have a PlayStation.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah. No.
Fine. We'll figure something out. All right. Guys, all of you in the chat, thank you so much for joining in. This was super fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to see you all soon and good night.
Bye-bye.
Because if I just hold on for a second, I'll just end the stream.